The 13th Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita, the Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. It is the path of knowledge of the field, also known as Kshetra, and the knower of the field, Kshetrajna. And this is the crux of the message of Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishad, as Gita ji is the summary of the Upanishad. The 13th Adhyaya marks the beginning of the third Shatka of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the final 6 Adhyayas. The first Shatka, from the first to the 6th Adhyaya, reveals the true nature of the individual, the Jiva Swarupa. The second Shatka, from the 7th to the 12th Adhyaya, exposes the true nature of the eternal, the Ishvara, Ishvara Swarupa, whereas the third Shatka, from the 13th to the 18th Adhyaya, unfolds the true knowledge of the essential oneness of the Jiva and the Ishvara. The 12th Adhyaya is Bhakti Yoga, and the natural culmination of Bhakti is into Jnana. The 13th Adhyaya, which is a little intense, reveals the highest and the most secretive knowledge. For the final time, Shri Krishna describes this divine knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. All the later chapters from 14 to 17 Adhyaya only help us to assimilate this knowledge in our daily life. And the penultimate 18th Adhyaya summarizes what Krishna has unfolded in the entire Bhagavad Gita. The highest divinity, the eternal consciousness, the Brahman, which is the unmanifest, eternal, formless divine. And knowing this essence of this divinity in perfection is the fructification of human life, its ultimate goal. The first verse of the 13th Adhyaya starts with Arjuna's question. This verse is not present in many Gita-ji, and it may have been added later on. Therefore, this verse is not numbered. Arjuna actually asks 3 questions which are very similar but differently worded, as he wishes to clarify the differentiation between the creation and the creator. Arjuna uvacha prakrutim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetrajnam cha etadvetti tutum ichchami gnanam gneyam cha Keshava. Arjuna says, O Keshav, I wish to know from you, 1. What is Prakriti, who is Purusha? 2. What is Kshetra and who is the Kshetrajna? 3. What is the knowledge and who is worth knowing? Arjuna wants to have more clarity of what he has heard so far. He wants to know clearly the difference between the different parts of the creation, the Prakriti, and the one who is the highest and the first being, the creator, the Purusha. The field of creation is the one where one can toil, put in efforts and produce results. Thus the field of creation is called Kshetra, whereas the owner of the field, one who knows the field completely, is known as the Kshetrajna. This is the highest divine knowledge, Gnana, the only knowledge worth knowing, Gneya, which is the basis of all the knowledge, as it is the foundation of all in the universe. The complete knower of this highest knowledge, the highest divinity, is the only one who is worth knowing, Gneya. Shri Krishna answers, Shri Bhagavan uvacha idam shariram kshetram iti abhitiyate. He says, this body is the Kshetra. Etad yahaveti kshetrajna. One who knows this body, knower, is the Kshetrajna. Iti tad vid tam prahuhu. He says, one who knows both these elements truly have said this. Shri Krishna answers all the 3 questions of Arjuna in details to clarify all the doubts in the mind of Arjuna regarding the creation and the creator. From the 1st to the 16th verse, Krishna describes different aspects of Kshetra and Kshetrajna, including the moral values needed by the seeker to understand these differentiations. In the 17th and 18th verse, Krishna says this is the divine knowledge, Gnana, and this is the one which is worth knowing, Gneya. And then from 19 to 25 verse, he describes the differentiations of the Prakriti and the Purusha. And the final verses from the 26 to 34, he summarizes the understanding of the communion of the Kshetra and the Kshetrajna. Kshetra, also called the field, Khetara. And Krishna says this body is the field, Kshetra. The field is a place where seeds can be sown and harvest can be reaped. This body is also like a field where seeds of actions, karma, can be sown and appropriate harvest, like the fruits of actions, karma phala, can be reaped. Just like a field, as in life, What we sow as karma is what we reap as karma phala, and this is in short the law of karma and karma phala. Krishna clearly says this body which can be experienced as an object, idam shariram kshetram iti abhidhiyate, and this world which is also an object of experience is the field, it is a kshetra. Whereas I, aham, the one who experiences, the subject of the experience is different. I can experience this body, but I am not this body. Thus the field kshetra is this idam, the object of the experience, whereas the knower of the field, kshetragnya, I as aham, is the subject of the experience, and both are completely different. The entire universe, jagata, is the object of experience, it is idam. All the individuals, sharira, are the field, kshetra, the part of idam, the object of the experience. The pure consciousness, chaitanya, atma, as part of my true self, aham, is the only subject of all experiences and never becomes the object of the experience. From the outer world, for example, for our house, our car, our phone, this becomes very clear. We say my house, my car, my phone, but when it comes to our body, sharira, our senses, indriya, our mind, mana, and our intellect, buddhi, there is a confusion. For them, we unknowingly use both the phrases mine as well as I. Sometimes we say this is my body, this is my mind, and this, or sometimes you say I am fat, I am ugly, I am disturbed, I am so and so, I am upset, and denote it as I, aham. Bhagavan Krishna gives us this clarity that I am truly the knower of this body, its shape, its size, of this mind and its thoughts, of the senses and its experiences, and the intellect and its decisions. My body keeps changing from young to adolescent to adulthood and to old age. It is seen, whereas I, the witness, the drashta, remains the same. This is a wide discrimination, viveka, that is needed in Vedanta to inquire and attain my true self. This wise discrimination includes the drashta drashya viveka, the discrimination between the seer or the witness who is different from the seen, the nitya anitya viveka, the permanent is completely different from the ever-changing world, and the jada chetana viveka, that the insentient, non-living body, mind, intellect is illuminated by the sentient consciousness, the chetana tattva. And then in the next slok, Bhagavan says, Kshetragnam chapi mam viddhi. He says, know me as a Kshetragna of all, the knower of all bodies, sarva kshetreshu bharata, of all these bodies, O Arjuna. Kshetra kshetragna yakhnanam yattaj jnanam matam mama. He says the knowledge of Kshetra and Kshetragna is the true knowledge in my opinion. Here Krishna says that the divine Ishvara is the knower of all the fields. The knower of one field is the knower of all the fields, the entire creation. The real knowledge that we need to have is this true knowledge that the Kshetra and the Kshetragna, the creation and the creator, is different. These first two verses are the summary of the Vedanta knowledge. In the first verse, Krishna says, know that all that which is the object of your experience, idam, can be experienced, including the entire universe, and all the living being, sharira, is the field of creation. It is the kshetra. And the knower of this field, kshetragna, my true self, I as aham, who knows this body-mind complex, kshetra, is the kshetragna, the knower of the kshetra, and the subject of the experience, who is completely different than the object of the experience. In the second verse, Krishna says that know me as the knower, as a kshetragna of all the fields, of all the kshetra. This means that the knower of one field is the same as the knower of all the fields. In essence, the true I is the same as that. The individual is same as the essence of the eternity. I am that, aham brahmasmi. And this is the epitome of the knowledge of the Upanishad. According to this knowledge, an individual Atma is the same as the universal divine Paramatma. The essence of the individual Jiva is the same as the essence of the omnipresent divinity, the Ishvara, and that I am complete, unlimited, pure consciousness. We spend all our life in gathering knowledge of the seen world, the Kshetra. This knowledge of the world or Kshetra is called Aparavidya, whereas the knowledge of the self, the knower of the field or Kshetragna, which is only worth knowing according to Krishna, is called Paravidya. And this is the essential difference that Krishna wants us to be clear about. Now in the next verse, Krishna describes what is the field, the kshetra. It says, Tat Kshetram Yatcha Yadrakcha Yat Vikari Yatascha Yata. The true nature of the Kshetra, its modifications, its origins, and all its energies too, you shall hear from me now in brief. Krishna is now starting the detailed description of the field of creation, the Kshetra. That's why he's telling Arjuna, it is very important, listen carefully and decide accordingly. Krishna says he'll describe all the different aspects of Kshetra with all its modifications and energies that run this field. Many before me have already said the same thing, and this shows the humility of Krishna. He says, Rushibhihi bahuda gitam chandobi vividhai pruthaka. Many rishis have sung their glories. Vedas have said the same. Brahma Sutra also has described it by logic, and it has been decided finally with logic. What Krishna is giving here to Arjuna is the knowledge of the Sanatana Dharma. It is a perennial knowledge, a lineage since times immemorial. This knowledge has been passed on since generations, initially by the herd lineage, Shruti Parampara, by the rishis even before the script was invented. Krishna says many rishis who were seers have seen these mantras and have preached about this knowledge. Even the cardinal scriptures like of Vedanta, like Vedas and Brahma Sutra, have described the same divine knowledge. Along with Bhagavad Gita, these three form the initial three scriptures for initial inquiry into the school of Vedanta called Prasthantraya. In the Vedanta school of thought, the deduction is derived by logic and several processes, prakriya, which are given in the scriptures. Whatever is said must be firmly understood by the seeker, and it is explained and concluded in a very logical process. Hetu madbhir vinishchitaihi. Now Krishna describes a Kshetra consisting of 24 elements. Mahabhutani ahankara buddhya vyaktamevacha. He says the 5 great elements, the ego, intellect and the maya. Indriyani dashekam cha panchachendriya gocharaha. The 10 sense organs, mind and the 5 objects of the senses. In the Sankhya Shastra, the creation or Kshetra, also called Prakriti, is initially the subtle creation consisting of 24 elements. These include the 5 great elements, the Panch Bhuta, including the Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala, Prithvi, the space, the wind, the fire, the water and the earth. The 4 inner mind, Chattva, Antakarana, the ego, the mind, intellect, the Maya, the 10 sense organs, Indriyani, Dasha, including the 5 Gnanendriyas and the 5 Karmendriyas. And the 5 Gnanendriyas include the Shotra, Chakshu, Tvag, Rasana, Grahana, the sense of listening, the sense of seeing, touch, taste and smell. Whereas the 5 Karmendriya include the power of speech, Vak, Hasta, the hands, Pada, the feet, excretory and the progeny, procreating organs like the Payu and the Upastha. The 5 objects of these 5 senses are the Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, the words, the touch, the form, the taste and the smell. And these 24 elements together form the material for the entire creation to happen. In the first step, the formless divinity, the Brahman, with the energies of his Maya, forms the Ishvara, from which the creation arises. Initially, the creation is unmanifest and subtle, Sukshma, and then later after grossification and mixing of the elements by a process called Panchikarana, the gross manifestation or the creation comes into play. The purpose of describing the creation in details is to understand that behind this beautiful and ever-changing creation, there has to be a creator. Behind this Prakriti, from which the entire creation becomes manifest, there is one Purusha, the 25th element of the creation, who is primarily responsible for the creation, who is a Jagata Karana, and is materially very different from the creation, but is not separate from the creation. It is Abhinna, Nimitta and Upadana Karana. It is unattached to the creation, is Akarta, and provides all the energies needed to run this creation, all the Satta and the Spurti. It is the substratum or the foundation of the creation, the Adhisthana. In scriptures, there is a way to understand and reach to the divine, and it is only from knowing the known we can reach to the unknown. This process is called Laya Prakriya. As we think of each thing or each being in creation, Karya, we can think of its cause, the Karana, and finally we can reach to the divine Ishvara. The creation is constantly modifying and changing every moment. It is made of matter consisting primarily of the 5 great elements, the Pancha Mahabhutani, and the 3 gunas, the Sattva, Rajas and the Tamas, which undergoes constant changes. In the next verse, Krishna describes all the modifications of the ever-changing universe, the kshetra or the prakriti. Ichcha, dvesha, sukha, dukkham, sanghata, chetana, drutihi. Desires, angers, pleasure, pain, collectively called the body, mind, intellect, complex, intellect, ability to bear or self-confidence. Etat kshetram samasena savikara mudahyutam. He says this is the brief what is kshetra along with all its modifications. A large part of the kshetra or the creation is subtle, unseen, abhyakta, not recognizable, but only experienced by our own self. The subtle world, the sukshma jagata. This dominantly consists of our mind, where all the emotions like pleasure, pain, sukha, dukkha, all the desires, ichcha, all the attachments, raga and repulsions, tvesha, are perceived. Also, it consists of our intellect, which is the seat of our knowledge and decision making. Our memory, chitta, and our power to have patience, confidence, and courage, the dhruti shakti needed to bear the ups and downs of life, are also the energies of the subtle body. All these parts of our subtle body, the sukshma sharira, keeps constantly changing, savikaram, and along with the gross body, this forms an individual with a body, mind, sense, intellect, complex, sanghata, which we call as our identity as aham. The 13th Adhyaya, Kshetra Kshetragya Vibhaga Yoga, describes the kshetra, the creation, its elements, its modifications, with the goal to know the kshetragnya, the knower or the creator or the divinity. This needs a kind of a special preparation of mind before one can understand the utmost subtle divinity, which is all pervading, unmanifest and omnipresent. So now in the next 5 verses, from the 7th to the 11th verses, Krishna describes 20 values, sadguna, which are moral and life-changing values, which provide us with the eligibility for self-knowledge. For the seekers, the maturity of the mind and intellect is essential to lessen the gap between the mind and intellect, so that the right understanding sinks in with the right mindset, leading to the right actions. Only with such a harmonious personality, assimilation of self-knowledge or atma-jnana is possible. Most philosophies and religions across the globe prescribe some form of moral values or the righteous way of life, dharma, for humans. In Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna describes such eternal ethical values as the foundation of life in many different adhyayas like the 12th, 13th, 15th and 16th. We all know these moral values instinctively. In essence, what I expect from others, I should do to others, and what I don't expect from others, I should not do to them. These ethical values need to be imbibed in our life for change, to become a better person, to imbibe more sattva guna, and finally to make ourselves eligible to understand the most subtle divinity in the universe. These moral values are like mirrors for ourselves when we need to look within for change. They are not meant to change others, as that is not within our domain. The journey for life change involves a process. Before imbibing the good values, we first need to chisel off the evil qualities or the vicious propensities within us by awareness and understanding. Only then the good values, the sadguna, like ornaments, will beautify our life. This will give us the contentment and ever-eluding peace in life. This will make us eligible to receive and uphold the self-knowledge. There is a big difference between to know these moral values and to practice them in our life. These values become a part of our life only when we understand the value of these values. Only when I am able to see these values will bring a positive change in my life, I'll be able to see that these values are indeed valuable to me. And when I see them as valuable, the value of these values will become a priority in my life. Thus, I'll then make efforts to imbibe these values in my life. Krishna describes the moral values. We'll start with them, the 20 values one by one, which makes the seekers available to know the formless divinity, the Nirguna Brahma. The first and the foremost is amanitvam, lack of desire for respect from others. Amanitvam, having absence of desire for respect from others, is a very lofty ideal. We all always want to be recognized for our work, appreciated for what we do, and want to be respected for what we are. Therefore, to have an absence of craving for respect from others seems to be very difficult to achieve. Amanitvam does not mean to accept everything others give us and be complacent and coward not to respond. We need to uphold our self-respect, but need to differentiate our self-respect from self-egotism, being unduly obsessed with ourself. The solutions to develop an attitude not to expect too much respect from others is firstly to learn to assess myself correctly. If my self-assessment of my own self is appropriate, I don't need to yearn appreciation or respect from others. It is the undue expectations that hurt us when they remain unfulfilled. The solution is only the right understanding and the right attitude towards ourself and our life. We should know for sure that respect is commanded by conduct and cannot be demanded by words. Acceptance of others as they are is the first step to change. Adambitvam, the second value, lack of showing off to get attention. Adambitvam is another moral value not easy to have. We are programmed to show off more than what we have and what we are. We humans commonly exaggerate when we talk. People love to show off their knowledge, their wealth, their possessions, their relations who are influential, and to know them. If we inquire into the cause of this, we deduce that it is due to the incompleteness within and its unacceptance that leads us to show off and exaggerate. It is more important to be good than look good. Simplicity is prescribed for peace in life. The third value is ahimsa, non-violence. Ahimsa, the practice of non-violence, is a common value for all and is preached in all philosophies and religions. The principle of live and let others live is the principle of non-violence. In scriptures, non-violence is not just bodily or in actions, but also by words and by minds or in thoughts. We should have non-violence. By the non-violence in words, the vachika is the most damaging, a common habit of many due to unawareness. Guru Ma shows the solution: to listen more, to speak less, and to think and speak, and to say sorry when we disrespect others. Scriptures say our words should be truthful, satya, likable, priya, and beneficial, hitkari to others. They should be respectful, mrudu, soft, firm, occasionally strong, but not harsh in any circumstances. The non-violence by mind, manasik, is not to have any unpious thoughts, and it shows an eccentric mind which needs to be matured. We need to make our mind our best friend and not our enemy. Making a conscious effort to remain happy always will help us develop such attitudes. Kshanti, the next moral value, or forgiveness or being accommodative, is different than forbearance or sahanshilata. Forbearance or sahanshilata is for situations or for circumstances, whereas forgiveness, shanti, is towards people who hurt us. Forgiveness is a great virtue, especially essential for maintaining healthy and loving relationships. We need to recognize that everyone is not the same and different people have different qualities. There are strengths and weaknesses of all, and just like I have them. People do forgive me often, and so should I to others. It's okay to forgive, and it will only bring me peace in my relationships. Being accommodative is being flexible, being strong, but not being too rigid in our conduct. It is a positive, matured attitude where we are able to forget happily and forgive happily and leave others as they are. This attitude will only give us more freedom and happiness. The next value is arjavam. Arjavam is simply nothing but simplicity. It means absence of fraud, dishonesty, and having a simple personality. All the three, the mind, body, and actions, are aligned for such a person. It is rare to find such a person. We tend to justify our dichotomies. We tend to see others' faults in many situations. With contentment and peace of mind, life becomes much simpler. This creates harmonious relations and strong bonds with my family, friends, and colleagues. Simplicity also does not mean to remain silent. We need to voice our concerns, uphold our rights, but in an appropriate manner worthy of respect. Simplicity is greatness and is ornamental for a person, as his personality shines out by being simple. All great men like Gandhi and others have been simple. Therefore, we can say simplicity is greatness. A simple person will accept his own mistakes while accepting the virtues of others and solicit help when in need. The next virtue is Acharya Upasanam, taking the shelter of a Guru. Acharya Upasanam means devotion or service to the Guru, Guru Bhakti. We need a mentor for gaining any knowledge. Scriptures have a hidden meaning and have many subtle subjects difficult and almost impossible for us to study and understand on our own. Therefore, we need a skilled Acharya, Guru, to handle the words of the scriptures, who has learned this art from the lineage, the Guru Shishya Parampara. An ideal Guru is one who is both learned, knower of the knowledge, having Shrotriya, and who is realized, steadfast in this knowledge in life, Brahmanishta. It is said in the scriptures that it is the grace of the Lord to have a Guru in life, and it is the grace of the Guru that we are able to understand the divine knowledge for a seeker. A shelter of the Guru helps to dissolve our pride and shows us the right path and guides us on the path. The words of the Guru become an ideal for us to learn and follow. A real Guru is hard to find. They are so gracious, they always think about the benefits of students and always inspires and uplifts their students. Shaucham is purity or being auspicious. This involves hygiene by keeping our body clean by regular bathing, hand hygiene, cleanliness of clothes, clean home, clean place of work, clean food, money, etc. Everything in our life must be well organized, well managed to have auspiciousness in each of the things. Purity, more importantly, involves inner purity, which comes only by awareness and by efforts. The mind needs to be filled with divine qualities, avoiding vices and staying away from hunger, avoiding anger and jealousy in life. Daily introspection is essential to clean the mind every day. The next value is Stairyam. Stairyam means steadiness or firmness in life. Remaining steadfast in the spiritual journey of life is what it means. We should adopt each means a sadhana with faith and do it daily, nirantara, as a routine, making it as a habit. A firmness in our actions is the first priority. Doing all our duties in different roles of our life is needed to achieve anything meaningful in life. To have firmness in our goals is to pursue them with determination, understanding, and a firm resolve to change our life to reach our worthy goals. Discipline in our routine schedules with a firm resolve, with flexibility and not rigidity, increases our self-confidence to attain our goals. We need to overcome all obstacles and difficulties that come our path with a firmness of conviction to reach our goals. Atma Vinigraha is self-control or mind control. The word Atma normally means our true self, the pure consciousness. But often in scriptures, the word Atma is used to denote our body, mind, sense complex, which we believe is our identity. Vinigraha means to uphold well with understanding. Therefore, Atma Vinigraha means self-control or mastery over the mind. Initially, this will be with some efforts, but the goal is to have effortless control, what is called as a Sahaja Niyantrana, like a trained horse, Sadashvaha, who obeys his master. Gradually, the mind needs to be conditioned so that we can use it when needed and retire it to calmness when not needed. Krishna continues with the description of the moral values. He says, Indriyartheshu Vairagyam, dispassion from the objects of all the five knowledge senses. Most of us are not even aware of the strong sense of attachment of our knowledge senses, the Gnanendriya, to the objects, Vishaya. Having a letting go or detachment from the worldly objects in life is called dispassion or Vairagya. Detachment does not mean disrespect or being uncaring towards others. It is not insulting any relations or worldly objects. It is definitely not running away or shirking from our responsibilities. It is not sitting in silence, in solitude, with torn clothes. It is not even forceful control over our mind and thoughts by suppression. But Vairagya is an ideal, healthy and matured condition of the mind. Ideal because I can see the world, persons and situations as it is without any colors, prejudices or conditioning of my mind or with judgments. Vairagya is the absence of the good and the bad labels or judgment that often give in life. Attachment is the presence of persons or objects that gives pleasure, a state of absence of pain, whereas repulsion is the raga and dvesha, is the state where the presence of a certain object, person, situation disturbs me or gives me pain, and their absence gives me a feeling of pleasure. Absence of Vairagya is almost impossible, and therefore the goal is to have minimal of strong likes and dislikes, the raga dvesha, to have a healthy, balanced and a calm mind. This practical Vairagya is useful for all, and all can attain it with understanding, introspection, a firm resolve and regular practice in life. Anahankaraha is to have a lack of ego or self-pride. Our ego is always at work as we keep praising, boasting our own self. Even when we expect appreciation from others, it is for our ego fulfillment. Our ego makes us to desire and even to get angry when desires are not fulfilled. Ego brings many sufferings for us in our life, in our family, by straining our relationships. Dissolving our ego is important for a seeker, and regular satsang is one of the most powerful ways to do it. Working as being my instrument in the hands of the Lord, nimitta matra, or by doing a lot of devotion, bhakti, is a sure short way to dissolve my pride. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshan darshanam, seeing the pain of birth, death, old age and disease. We daily experience life and its dualities of pleasure and pain. The pleasure or the happiness appeals to us, whereas the pain is the suffering which we endure. If we endeavor to see the reality of life as described in our scriptures, there are many situations which are beyond our control and give us utmost suffering in life. The pain of death or disease is the foremost of all, which is definite, unpredictable and destined any time. It is painful to have incurable diseases, and death of a near one is very painful to endure. In birth also, the mother undergoes severe pain during labor, and bringing up in childhood of a child is also not easy. The old age is fraught with its helplessness and infirm conditions, limited capacity of the body and its organs, with constant dependency on others, which is also quite painful. Seeing this pain of human life naturally inspires a thought to get one relieved from all this pain. Only then detachment of vairagya will arise, and a desire to become permanently free from all these pains will arise in the mind. Seeing this pain of life is not a negative attitude, but certainly not to become depressed by the anticipated pain of life. But if we need to see the pain to become aware, to see the truth, so that the pain awakens us from the deep slumber. Krishna continues with the divine qualities. Asakti, he says lack of attachment. Sakti means attachment, asakti or asakti means too much attachment, and asakti means lack of attachment. Attachment or sang for objects, persons, situations is very natural for human beings. Attachment means we don't want to leave it, and leaving becomes painful. This may lead to invalid insistence and obstinate state of the mind to keep it with us all the time. Then there is a feeling of ownership, maliki bhav, and we want to control those people or things which are very close to us. Attachment is easy to develop but difficult to leave. Guru Maharaj shows the solution for being free from attachments. Right understanding that the problem and the solution is me, and no one else, is the first step to become free. Understanding that I am not an owner but just a trustee to maintain things like home and other assets. One Lordship is the owner of the entire universe, while I have been enshrined this responsibility for certain things and people. Knowing that everything in this world is temporary, is ever changing, will also help me not to cling to people and things. Anabhishva putradara gruhadishu, lack of too much affection for children, spouse, home, etc. We are all programmed to being attached to our family, home and our friends. Many of the problems in life occur due to too much of possessiveness, which colors our vision and makes us unable to see the reality. Natural affection is towards our children, putra, so that we pamper them, which will inculcate indiscipline and give them undue freedom and to spoil them. Too much affection towards a spouse can be replaced by mutual trust, respect, love and freedom. Too much attachment towards a home, its possessions and others is also cause for many family disputes. Therefore, lack of too much of love or affection, anabhishwangaha, is a great virtue. Nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishthopapattishu. Always keep the mind in balance in all the likes and dislikes. Krishna loves samatva, which is the essence of the spiritual journey and is also the essence of the spiritual goal. Being equipoised does not mean becoming rigid. It is being compassionate to all. But being not too happy in likes, raga, and not too sad in dislikes, dvesha. We need to understand that denial of a situation and not accepting the reality does not change the reality. In situations such as death of a near one or an incurable disease, we need to maintain such a samatva or balance and doing our best in the given situation while accepting what comes to us, that we do not have a choice but to accept it. How to cultivate an attitude of samatva? Acceptance of any situation is golden. When I am faced without a choice, and this is the perfect solution. Eventually, time is the healer, and an attitude that this too shall pass helps me sustain the difficult period. Having a faith in the Almighty that whatever happens is for my own benefit enables such a samatva in life. We need to respond wisely to situations rather than react without thinking or applying our mind and intellect. Now Krishna finally describes the moral values for the serious seeker who wants to progress on the spiritual path. Mai chananya yogena bhakti avyabhicharini. He says, my constant connection and one-point devotion is nothing but one-point devotion in the Lord. The anya bhakti, with an unconditional love and reverence, avyabhicharini, to the Almighty. This is possible only with immense faith in the Lord, committing God as our final goal. With this acceptance, we are able to accept the ups and downs of life and still maintain the equipoise in all the situations of life. We are able to develop detachment, vairagya, and assimilate the knowledge, the gnana in our life. To start with, this involves devotion in the form, saguna bhakti, and then gradually expand our horizons to see the divinity everywhere as an all-pervading, omnipresent divine, the nirguna bhakti. Vivitta desha sevitvam, to remain in an isolated place is creating a habit of staying alone and enjoying it too with joy. It is an attitude of making the best use of time when we are alone rather than wasting it on the phone, TV or other time wasters. Spirituality is an inner journey and we should be able to enjoy the time we spend with our own self. Arati janasansudihi. Avoiding large get-togethers is another habit that a seeker needs to cultivate. This means not craving for arati, large group of people. Avoiding unnecessary social contacts, as the crowd mentality is more like a herd mentality. And now Krishna finally shows the steps, the main steps of the spiritual journey or the knowledge journey. Adhyatma gnana nityatvam. Pursue the study of the self-knowledge on a regular basis. Scriptures like Vedanta, Upanishad also show that there is no pramana which can show us the self-knowledge, as it is the foundation of all the knowledge. Just as the camera cannot take its own picture or the eyes cannot see its own eyes without a mirror, similarly our senses cannot show the unmanifest eternal tattva as the foundation of this universe. It is only with the words of the Vedanta and Upanishads, the great statements, Mahavakya, handled skillfully by the learned Guru who has learned this skill from the lineage, Parampara, that with these words, Shabda Pramana will inculcate Nirdesha, the most subtle tattva, into the minds of the seeker. This is possible only by listening, Shravana intently, regularly, with open mind. The Guru shows the goal and the means to achieve the goal. Having the faith in the scriptures, Guru, and firm resolve to achieve the goal helps the seeker. The seeker needs to follow each word of the Guru with its meaning and need to keep on listening till clarity or firm knowledge assimilates. This process of inquiry and path of knowledge involves the three-step process of Shravana, listening, Manana, inner contemplation, and Nididhyasana, the Vedantic meditation, to finally reach the goal. Listening to Vedanta helps us to know what is the truth. Next is the process to assimilate this truth in life, called Manana. Firstly, to think with logic, to clear all the doubts arising in the mind. Questions are welcome, as is the faith. The doubts need to be cleared by understanding and use of logic to convince the brain. Next, and the final step is Vedantic meditation, Nididhyasana, which converts our previous habitual errors or wrong impressions, Purva Sanskaras, to the new impressions of the reality by repeated reminders, Abhyasa, and with the new understanding. Tattva Gnanartha Darshanam, keeping the essence of the knowledge constantly in mind. The main benefit is eternal complete freedom, Mukti. Knowing the self gives the highest benefit, the moksha. We don't do anything without benefits. Fruits of the knowledge, Atma Gnana Phala, is ever happiness, avoiding all the pains, being completely independent. See the goal every day and try our best to reach it with efforts. When will I become a free bird? We need a great enthusiasm, constant efforts, and a lot of patience to reach to the goal. The self-knowledge cannot be stumbled upon accidentally. It needs to be carved out by design of an arduous spiritual journey. Etach gnanam iti proktam agnanam yadatanyatha. Bhagavan says these values are in itself the real knowledge in my view, and everything else is ignorance of our own self. Now, Krishna pledges to tell Arjuna what is the Atma Gnana, what is that self-knowledge. Yad gneyam tat pravakshyami yad gnatva mrutam mashnute. He says, what is worth knowing I shall tell you clearly, after knowing which you shall attain immortality. Anadimat param brahmana sattannad sat uchyate, which has no beginning, which is the highest, which is imperishable Brahma, which cannot be called is and cannot be called is not. The highest tattva of the supreme divinity is the knowledge of the imperishable Brahma, knowing which one attains immortality. It is as it is eternal, unborn and immortal. This cannot be easily perceived, therefore it cannot be said is emphatically, whereas its existence cannot be disregarded. Now Krishna starts a description of the formless divine Nirguna Brahma, or the Atma Tattva, the Brahma Tattva, or the Chaitanya Tattva. He says, Sarvata Panipadam Tata, Sarvata Kshishiro Mukham. All the hands and feet belong to it, whose face faces all the sides. Sarvata Shrutimat Sarvam Loke Avrutya Tishtati, whose ears are also on all sides and in all lokas, and it pervades everywhere. It is almost impossible to describe the vast, omnipresent, unmanifest, formless, attributeless, Nirguna Nirakara Sarvatra Vibhu Tattva in words, as it is the foundation, Adhisthana of all the names, shapes, the Nama Rupa of the Jagata or the universe. Thus all the hands, feet, faces, ears, all these belong to this Tattva. It is present everywhere, even beyond the space, as it is the foundation of the space itself. Therefore it is pervaded in all the lokas and beyond. Sarvam Loke Avrutya, even the vast universal cosmic form of the Lord Vishwarupa is one of the forms of this divine formless Ishvara. Krishna now describes the Brahma with contradictory words. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya Vivarjitam, which illuminates the attributes of all the senses. It is a Kshetrajna, it is a knower, but it is devoid of all senses. Asaktam Sarvabhrutchaiva Nirgunam Gunabhroktucha. It is unattached to all the beings, but it illuminates all the beings, is devoid of three gunas, but it is the knower of all the three gunas. Upanishad uses contradictory words to indicate this formless Nirguna Tattva, which is the substratum of this universe. This Tattva is the foundation of everything. Thus it is not due to the divine Tattva that it is due to the divine Tattva that all the senses work. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam. But the senses cannot perceive this Tattva. Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. All the three gunas of the matter function due to this Guna Bhoktru. However, this Tattva is devoid of all the three gunas, Nirgunam. Though all the action senses also work due to this Tattva, still it is unattached to all the actions. By its inherent nature, it is unattached to all. Asaktam Sarvabhruta. Krishna continues to describe the Tattva with contradictory words. Bahiyantascha bhutana macharam charamevacha. It is present within and outside all the embodied beings or bodies, pervades all the non-living objects and the living beings as well. Sukshmatta tata vigneyam tad durastam chantike chatata, says it is not known, as it is very subtle, and it is very far, and yet it is very near. To describe the omnipresent Tattva, Upanishad uses these words, that it is present inside as well as it is present outside all the embodied beings, just as Ishavasya Upanishad says, Tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasya bahayata. It also pervades not only just all living beings, but also all non-living beings, where there is no medium like Antakarana for it to manifest, and therefore remains unmanifest. Again, contradictory words are used to say it is too far for someone who is unable to fathom or think about this Tattva, whereas it is too near to someone who knows it very well. Similarly, Shavasya says, Taddure Tadvantike. God is the one creator, the sustainer and the destroyer of the universe. In the next verse, Krishna says, Avibhaktam cha bhutesho vibhaktam eva chastitam. It is one in all the bodies. It is undivided, but it appears to be many. It appears divided. Bhuta bhartru cha tajgneyam rasishnu prabhavishnu cha. That it is worth knowing, it is the nurturer of all, and it is the cause for destruction and the creation. Though we see many different manifestations, but there is just one undivided Tattva which binds them all, Just like one thread binds so many different beads. Krishna has already said, Sutre Manigana Iva. Similarly, behind all these various manifestations of the names and the forms of the matter seen in the universe, there is only one Brahma, the formless Tattva, God or divinity which binds them all. God is one but assumes many forms for several different roles. We should know that Gneyam, the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha, assumes the responsibility of nurturing the creation as Vishnu, Bhuta Bhartru, creating the creation Prabha Vishnu as Brahma, and destroying the creation Grasishnu as Shiva. They are all one and only one. Jyotisham api tad jyotihi tamasa paramuchyate. It is the light of all the luminous objects, like the sun. It illuminates also ignorance, ajnana, gnanam gneyam gnanagamyam hridhi sarvasya vishtitam. Virtues, all the atma and the fruits of knowing it, all the three are ingrained in the heart of each and every being. The tattva is the foundation of all. Everything that illuminates in this universe, including the sun and the others, is due to this tattva. It is the force, the satta, the energy, the spurti behind all that we see in the universe. Not only it illuminates all the beings and all the things, but it also illuminates the darkness, the ignorance of our own self. All the 20 moral values that Krishna describes in the previous few verses, Krishna calls this is equivalent to Gnanam, as these moral values make us eligible to attain the self-knowledge. What is worth knowing, Gneyam, is the self-knowledge of the Atman, the Tattva itself, and the great benefit of knowing this knowledge, Gnanagamyam, is the complete freedom that we achieve from all our limitations, Moksha. The spiritual journey is an inner journey, and this is clearly demonstrated by Krishna that all these three are firmly ingrained in us, each one of us. It is up to us to try and attain these values and use them in our life. It is on us to make necessary efforts to understand self-knowledge, and it is up to us to get the grand benefits of this knowledge, which can free us from the cycle of repeated birth and death. Krishna concludes the understanding of Kshetra Kshetrajna, says, Iti Kshetram Tatha Gnanam Gneyam Cha Uktam Samasatah. So far I told you in brief about the Kshetra, the values, the Atma Tattva. Madbhakta etad vignaya madbhava upapadyate. It says, my devotee, after knowing this, will attain my undivided self. So far, to summarize, three aspects were covered by Krishna in details. He talked about the modification, the creation, the Kshetra. Then he described the 20 moral values needed to understand the Kshetrajna, the creator, the knower. And then he described the Nirguna Tattva, which is the same self-knowledge as Atma, which is the same as the universal divinity Brahma. Devotion brings with it the suitability and the adhikaritva to understand the self-knowledge, which makes us eligible, yogyata, prapti, for understanding this knowledge. However, this process takes a long time with the practice of the spiritual means, the yoga sadhana, in form of good action, satkarma, according to our duty, dharma, in line with the righteous way of life. When the vision matures, we attain vastness to visualize the divinity everywhere, sarvatra samadarshana. And the final stroke is by knowledge, etad vignaya, for which devotion, madbhakta, prepares us for. Krishna now starts the viveka, discernment between the prakriti and the purusha. Prakritim purusham chaiva, ubhav nad api anadi. He says, prakriti and purusha, know that both have no beginning. Vikaranshcha gunanshchaiva prakriti vidyip sambhavan. He says all the modifications, attributes, you know that all these arise from the prakriti. Krishna starts answering the second part of the question asked by Arjuna in the beginning of the 13th Adhyaya. Now Krishna describes the clear differences, the viveka between the prakriti and the purusha, which was described briefly in the 7th Adhyaya. There Krishna described two types of prakriti. One is apara prakriti, consisting of the eightfold elements, which is also called the Maya, which is insentient, Jada, and is also called the Kshetra. The another is the higher one, is called the Para Prakriti, which consists of Jiva, which is sentient, or the Chetana, and is also called Kshetrajna. The God Ishvara is the Lord of both these types of Prakriti. The relationship between Jiva and the Ishvara is one of reflection, Pratibimba, and the original Bimba Bhuta, source. Thus, Ishwar is the original source of all the sentience, Bimbhuta Chaitanya, whereas Jiva is a reflected source of consciousness, the Pratibambit Chaitanya. Krishna says that both Prakriti and Purusha have no beginning and are therefore anadi. All the modifications or changes, vikara, happen in the matter which is created, it is karya, and all the attributes or characteristics like the three gunas are also created and are part of the Prakriti or the creation. The main difference between the Prakriti and the Purusha is that Prakriti can come to an end, anta, whereas Purusha is endless, ananta. The main problem is the mixing of these two, and thus we are not able to clearly know our original self and always believe that we are a complex of the insentient with the sentient, the Jada Chitta Granthi. Scriptures describe the solution, wisely discriminate viveka between the individual Vyasti and the Samashti to understand our true nature. Karya karana kartrutve hetu prakriti uchyate. For the doership feeling of the body and the mind sense complex, Prakriti is the main cause for the same. Purushaha sarva dukkhanam hetu prakriti ruchyate sukha dukkhanam. For the pleasure and the pain feeling, the main cause is the Purusha, consciousness, Chetan. All actions occur in the field of Prakriti. The Jiva identifies itself as an amalgamation, Karya Karana Sanghat, of the physical body, which in effect the Karya, and the psychologically body, the Sukshma Sharira, which is the cause or the Karana. Therefore, the cause for all actions, Hetu, is Prakriti. While all the knowing occurs in the Purusha, the pure consciousness, thus the cause, Hetu, for all the feelings or knowing of all feelings like the pleasure, pain, Sukha, Dukkha, is Purusha. Purusha prakrutisthahi bhungte prakriti jan gunan. Purusha, being in close proximity to Prakriti, knows the gunas which arise from the Prakriti. Gunasangasya asya karanam asat sat asat yoni janmasu. These associations with the guna of the Prakriti is the reason for the birth of the jiva in the sat or the asat yoni. Krishna nails the root cause of the problem here. He says the association, the sangha of the gunas of the Prakriti and the Purusha is the main problem. This false association is the root cause of all the birth of the jiva and the suffering in the samsara. This birth could be in a human species, the Sat Yoni, or where there is a possibility for liberation, moksha, or else it could be in another animal species, the Asat Yoni, where there is no such possibility. Identification with the body, tadatmya, leads to false identification with our self, aham bhava, leading to identification with our inner body and our mind and intellect. Only with clear, wise discrimination there can be an end to this false association between the gunas of the Prakriti and the Purusha. Upadrashta anumantacha, the seer or the witness who is consents to all, Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara, who nurtures all, knows all, and is the Almighty God. Paramatma iticha api uktaha. Atma is also said as Paramatma, Asmin Dehe Purusha Para, who resides in this body alone. The essence of the individual is the seer, the witness of all, the knower of everything, the Kshetrajna, sitting inside the body perceived as Atma, whereas the same unified, all-pervading spirit is the Brahma. Both of these are one and only one, and the same are the divine Ishvara. This is the highest divine knowledge which is worth knowing, described in the Upanishads. And the great benefit of knowing the self or the Atma, Bhagavan says, Ya evam vetti purusham prakriti cha gunai saha. One who clearly knows the Purusha and the Prakriti with all its gunas, sarvatha vartamanopi sabhuya na abhijayate. In any situation will not be born again, will be eternally free. The great benefit or the final benefit of knowing this eternal divine knowledge of the Prakriti with all its three gunas and modifications, and the Purusha as a witness of all, the knower of all, completely unattached, asanga to the Prakriti, is a complete liberation from the cycle of birth and death, moksha. How to walk on the spiritual path? Options of yoga sadhana. Kechid atmana atmanam dhyanena atmani pashyanti. Some perceive the Atma by meditation, some perceive by the purified inner self in their own self. Others anye sankhena yogena, others by the gnana yoga, cha apare karma yogena, some others by karma yoga. The highest knowledge can only be imbibed into our life by a spiritual journey. Krishna describes the various paths of this spiritual journey called the yoga sadhana Krishna describes the three paths in this verse: the path of meditation, the Dhyana Yoga, the path of knowledge, the Sankhya Yoga, and the path of actions, the Karma Yoga. And then he describes the fourth option, surrender, Samarpan Yoga, also can lead to moksha. It says, Anyetu evam ajananta, others who are ignorant of these three paths, Shrutva nebhya upasate, who listen to other wise men, become their devotees, Shruti parayanaha te apicha mutyum atitaranti eva, who listen with faith and commitment, even those will cross this ocean of life and death. Krishna says there are many people who are unaware of scriptures. They have either no knowledge of scriptures or unable to understand them due to many reasons. However, these people who are faithful and listen to wise men, become devoted to them, they continue their devotion with utmost faith and dedication, and they are also eligible to become enlightened and to achieve the final fruits of self-knowledge. That is, they can become free and relinquish the cycle of birth and death. These four are the stepwise eligibility as described, but in reality, seekers should try to amalgamate or assimilate all these means, samanvaya, into their journey to attain the divine. The creation is born from the communion of the kshetra and the kshetrajna. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavara jangamam. Whatever comes into existence, the good, the non-living or the living, tad vidhi kshetra kshetrajna sanyogat. Know that it is all due to the union of the seer and the seen, the kshetra and the kshetrajna. The prakriti jada without the purusha is useless, and therefore to instill life into this prakriti, purusha is needed. Thus, wherever we see any part of the creation, there is a union of prakriti and purusha. The true vision is that wherever there is prakriti, there is purusha. See the unseen. Bhagavan says, Sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam samam parameshwaram. Within all the humans and animals, one who sees the presence of Lord uniformly, vinashyastu avinashyantam, as the changeless in the ever-changing bodies. Yaha pashyati sapashyati. One who sees this, this is a true vision. Within all the beings there is divinity. In fact, all beings are divine. They assume temporary forms and shapes, but they always remain suspended in the universal eternal consciousness. Sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam samam parameshwaram. In the view of Vedanta, everything is God, and everywhere one can see the presence of God. The opening verse of Ishavasya Upanishad says, Ishavasya midam sarvam, meaning everything is pervaded by the divine Lord. Krishna says this is the true vision. Yaha pashyati sanashyat sapashyati. One who we should endeavor to develop this vision, seeing the divinity everywhere, in or behind all the names and forms of the creation. All the names and the forms keep changing, vinashyatsu, whereas the divinity that pervades within all these different forms is one and is changeless, avinashyantam. What is the benefit of seeing such Brahma everywhere? Bhagavan says, Samam pashyani sarvatra samavasti tamishwaram. By seeing the same Brahma everywhere as uniformly present Lord, Atmana Atmanam nahinasti, that person does not hurt his own self by his own self, tato yati paramgatim, and then attains the highest destination. The wise person sees the same divine tattva everywhere as the foundation of all in the creation. Because of this unified vision and absence of seeing differences, they have immense compassion for all beings, as they can see each part as a part of the whole rather than separate parts. Such wise people attain the highest divinity and the highest path. They do not disrespect everyone. Their disrespect is like violence. They see the one behind the many in the creation and the one Maya, finally the one consciousness. How to see that actionless self akarta swarupa of the Atman? Bhagavan says, Karmani sarvashah prakrutya eva chakriyamanani. One who sees all actions, karma happening in the field of prakriti, tada atmanam akartaram. And Atma is actionless, akarta, yaha pashyati sapashyati. One who sees this, this is the correct reality. After having said that wherever there is prakriti, there is purusha, both are together, but the knowledge of the relationship between the prakriti and the purusha is important to understand. And in this verse, Krishna describes this relationship, prakriti, purusha, viveka. He clearly says that all the actions happen in the field of prakriti, even in the doership and the enjoyership, all the karta, bhokta are all part of prakriti. However, the Atma is completely unattached and actionless, a karta by its own very nature. Though both Prakriti and Purusha remain in close contact with each other, all the gunas are in the Prakriti, whereas all the actions happen in the Prakriti, while the Purusha is the silent witness and the knower, the Kshetrajna of all. What is the benefit of seeing such Brahma pervading all? Yada bhuta pruthak bhavam ekastam anupashyati. In all these different bodies or beings, if one sees the one Atma behind all, tatah eva cha vistaram tadah brahma sampadyate tada. And the same Atma pervades all there, then one attains that Brahman. Having this vision, united vision of the Vedanta, that behind all the different species of the beings in the universe, there is one divinity that pervades, perceived as the Atma on an individual perspective, and the same divinity, when seen as a pervading, vast, omnipresent, all-pervading Brahma, as a universal spirit or consciousness, then itself is the highest divine knowledge. Seeing the one in many is like seeing one thread that binds all the beads, sutre manigana iva. Ayam Paramatma anaditvat nirgunatvat avyayah. This Paramatma is without beginning, devoid of gunas, and is changeless. Sharirasthopya api kaunteya nakaroti na lipyate. Even while living in this body, O Arjuna, does not do anything, nor is attached to results. Krishna again emphasizes the same knowledge to make it firmly understood by all of us seekers. Firstly, he says Atma is same as Paramatma. Ayam Paramatma. The individual divinity or Tattva is the same as the universal all-pervading Tattva. Both of these are without beginning, anaditvat, and without end. This consciousness is devoid of any gunas, nirgunatvat, and is eternal and changeless, avyayaha. Even when it stays in the body as sharirastha, it is completely unattached, is sangha to the body and its attributes, akarta. It does not perform any action, na karoti, na salipyate, does not get attached to any actions or its results. This also makes it very clear that the spiritual journey is an inner journey to find divinity within and to see its expanse in the universe, same divinity, how it presents everywhere. How Atma is unattached, Krishna gives example of a space, yatha sarvagatam akasham saukshmyat na upalipyate. Just as a vast space, by being very subtle, remains unattached, tatha dehe sarvatra avastitaha Atma na upalipyate. Similarly, by being present in all the bodies, Atma remains unattached. The space is very vast, contains everything within all the planets, solar system, sky, moon, earth, oceans, and wind and everything. Even then, the space remains completely unattached to all it contains within it. Yatha sarvagatam akasham saukshmyat na upalipyate. Individual consciousness, similarly, Atma, being closely in proximity to physical bodies of all the beings, dehe sarvatra avastitaha, still remains unattached. Atma na upalipyate. To reveal that Atma is a self-effulgent Swayam Prakasha, Krishna gives example of a sun, yatha eka ravi kritsnam imam lokam prakashayati. Just as one sun illuminates this complete world, tatha kshetri kritsnam kshetram prakashati. Similarly, one kshetrajna illuminates all the kshetra. The kshetrajna, the knower, provides all the energies and power to the kshetra or the creation. The kshetrajna illuminates the kshetra just by its presence. Just as one sun illuminates the entire earth, similarly one kshetrajna illuminates the entire kshetra or the creation. The entire creation is much larger than the earth, and the kshetrajna is very, very subtle than the sun too. Attainment of the God is only by knowing this kshetra, kshetrajna, kshetra, kshetrajna yorevam jnana chakshusha. This difference of kshetra, kshetrajna, if only one knows by eyes of wisdom, bhuta prakriti moksham cha te vidu yanti te param, is relieved from the bondage of nature and attains the highest self, own Atma Swarupa. The knowledge of the Kshetra and the Kshetrajna given in the 13th Adhyaya by Krishna cannot be visualized by our normal eyes. We need divine eyes or the eyes of wisdom, Gnana Chakshusha, which can only come when we have this kind of a divine understanding to fathom this understanding. One who is an eligible seeker, Adhikari, one embarks on the journey, and one who attains detachment, Tyaga, Vairagya, and wise understanding, Viveka, his wisdom eyes, the Gnana Chakshusha, will open and will make it possible to reveal the real self, the Atma Tattva, knowing which he or she will become realized and liberated, free. That person, by knowing the independent Purusha, will become free from bondage of the matter, Bhuta Prakriti Moksham, and attain the highest self of the divinity, Te Param Yanti, to know his own Atma Swarupa, the Atma Gnana. With this, we come to the end of the 13th Adhyaya. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Kshetra Kshetragnya Vibhaga Yogo Nama Trayodashodhyayah.